Okay, we are back on to call the workshop for May 16th to order. And first item up tonight is a sanitation presentation. I'm not sure what that means, but we'll find out. Mike?
Good evening, Commissioners, Mayor. I was asked to put together a presentation, just an informational, what sanitation does. As you all know, Sanitation Division is an enterprise fund. What that means is sanitation functions to provide solid waste collection and disposal. Sanitation is funded through a user fee. It's the refuse bill, and is not supplemented by the general fund or taxes. The Sanitation Division contributes $270,000 to the general fund for administrative cost, is self-sufficient, and has zero debt service. All other revenue generated by Sanitation Division goes to providing employee pay, capital improvements, such as vehicles and operating costs. Sanitation Division currently has approximately 50% of its expenditures, has approximately 50% of its expenditures in reserve, I'm sorry. What that means is that we could operate for almost 6 months without revenue coming in. So in an emergency, if the city was hit by a storm or something, we would still be able to operate on that reserve without going into debt. Sanitation Division currently has a sanitation supervisor, which is 25%, and it's shared. It has a sanitation crew chief, 4 drivers, 2 strikers. Strikers are the guys that are on the back of the truck, and then 1 heavy equipment operator that is 50%. So he spends 50% of his time in sanitation and 50% in water pollution control. Currently, Sanitation Division is shorthanded, and the Public Works Department must augment staff to complete daily collection and disposal. Because Sanitation Department has, by law, we have to pick up certain things 5 days a week, residential a certain amount, and get the trash removed. We take it very seriously, and so we're augmenting the Sanitation Department until we get the positions filled. Sanitation Division has 1 side loader, that's rental. It has a side loader that's a 2005, 2 rear loaders, both one 2012, one 2013, 1 rear loader, which we call the spare, but it's frequently used because of repairs on the other ones. We have a claw truck, which is used for yard waste and bulk items. We have a Ford 150 4x4 and 2 pull dumpsters, which are used to collect garbage on the beach at this point, and also down some of our roads down in Sunset where we can't get down there unless we have the smaller, the 2005 can get down those small roads. 2 new side loaders are scheduled for delivery in July 2017. This right here is the rental, which is a side loader. If you see the yellow arm, that is what's the automatic. So the driver does not have to get out. He pulls up, grabs it, dumps it, puts it back down. The 2005 is for select residential. It's used as a spare, and it's used for the beach when the beach sand is hard. So after a rain, we can get out there. If not, we can't get onto the beach because it's too soft, and we'll get stuck. So what we do is we take a front end loader and we help it along. We also have 2 rear loaders, which are used for commercial, multifamily, and yard waste. We have the rear loader spare, which is also commercial, multifamily, and yard waste. We have the claw truck, which is used for yard waste and bulk items. It also is used by municipal services when we do trimmings, and we pick up the yard waste from our own in-house and for the municipal buildings. The Ford Explorer 4x4 is what we use, and this is how we go out and pick up garbage and recycling on the beach. Basically, one or two people go out there, we pull this behind, and by hand, they dump the garbage into the dumpster. And then what we'll do is we'll put 4 gray dumpsters in the back, and that's where we'll hand dump the recycling, and that's how we do it currently. Our current schedule is on the board, is on this chart here. What we have right now is residential north is done on Mondays and Thursdays. Residential south is Tuesdays and Fridays. This is just household garbage. Recycling north is done on Thursdays, and recycling south is done on Monday. As you probably all know, that we used to do it on Thursdays and Fridays, and due to the new contract, we had to split those up because of the extra facilities that we're picking up from, so that we could get the municipal facilities twice a week, and that there would be one before the weekend and one after the weekend. And I believe that is the one that is causing some heartaches with the residents in the south, is that it wasn't put back on Friday. We are currently looking at possibilities of having our recycling contractor pick up 3 times a week, which would be Monday, Friday, and Thursday, Friday, and then do the municipals on Monday. We're just trying to get an extra cost for that right now. All commercial waste by law has to be picked up 5 days a week. It's done on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, and Saturday. We now have the option of providing that service for whoever wants it on Sunday. We right now have, I believe, 13 commercial accounts that want us to do it on Sunday, and we're already getting some requests for Wednesday pickup also. So 7 days a week. I think we have 1 or 2 right now that we may be picking up on Wednesday. And sorry about the misspell, but I couldn't get in that box size, so I just took the E out. Municipal recycling is done on Mondays and Thursdays. Beach garbage and recycling is done 7 days a week, 5 to 6 months out of the year, and then we go to 3 and 4 days a week in the off season. Bulk items or special pickups are performed Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. We do try to split them up so that we're picking up the bulk waste on the days that the residents get their pickups also. So if it's the north, it would be on Monday. If it was south, on Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. But we will pick up also on Wednesday if requested. Yard waste is 1 day a week, and that's done on Wednesday. I did a little investigation and figured out, about how much waste we did at the low point in fiscal year 08-09. We did a little over 7,600 tons. And in fiscal year 15 and 16, we did about 92 tons. It's a 22% increase in total tonnage collected in an 8-year period. If you look at it year by year, it doesn't look like it raises, but if you look at from the 8 years, it's a large increase with no increase in personnel. Some of the sanitation division challenge.
Does that include recycling, or is that?
That is including recycling.
Okay.
Recycling has really kind of flatlined. We're hoping that it will come back up with with more people being interested in recycling. And also some of the things that we're doing is looking at doing commercial recycling, and that we're going to bring that back to the commission later this year. Right now, we have a vacant crew chief and a driver position, and also we have a vacant heavy equipment operator. So we're actually 2.5 people, full-time equivalents down. We've interviewed over 10 people, temporary hired, 2 crew chiefs, which did not work out. They worked out for about, we observed them for about a month, and we let them go due to their performance was not up to par. Recently interviewed additional 5 people, none were hired, still taking applications. We're utilizing staff from other divisions to supplement the missing driver and spotters. At any time, if you guys have any questions, just stop me and I'll go ahead and answer your questions if I can. Currently we're waiting on the 360-degree camera for the trucks to be equipped. 360 cameras are so that you can see 360, and they'll be all recorded and stored. Once installed, we can stop using a backup spotter for the residential collection. Right now, we have to do so many backing ups that we put a spotter in the passenger side, and so whenever we back that residential collection vehicle up, actually all of our vehicles backed up, we have a spotter. Beach collection is performed by hand up to 7 days per week, and we provide commercial collections 6 to 7 days. Requires, in some instances, that sanitation workers work 9 days straight. We are trying to prevent that, but there are times that we just can't due to the low resources. And then the other main challenge right now is changes to the collection days have really upset the residents. We were told that would be an issue. That's why we went out and handed out flyers. We did red alerts and talked about it. So I think we've communicated with most of them. In addition, some challenges that we have is liquids and solid waste from restaurants. We sent out letters to 13 establishments requesting their assistance in minimizing the liquids and the waste. That has worked. It's going to be an ongoing issue for us, so we're going to have to keep reminding them. What we do at this point now is when we pick up the commercials that have a lot of liquids, we actually, when the hopper gets full of liquids, we come back to the yard, we use our vacuum truck, and we remove the liquids from the hopper. The hopper is the part where you put the garbage in, and then when it is compacted, those liquids seep into the hopper. And that is what sloshes around in the back and gets all over the road. So we're bringing it back to the yard, and we'll remove the liquids. But I will tell you that the letters have helped immensely. We have an aging fleet. We just purchased 2 automatic side loaders, and we expect delivery sometime in July. We have a new recycling contract, which changed schedule due to additional collection of recyclables from municipal sites. We need the sanitation ordinance needs to be revised, increase efficiency, and we also need to increase efficiencies by implementing best management practices to minimize mixing of the waste. Some of the options that we have come up for waste collection scheduling: move recycling collection for the south residents back to Fridays, and move recycling for the north residents from Tuesdays to Mondays. That could be done. Change the recycling schedule back to occur on Fridays for residents south of 107th Avenue, and have a recycling contractor make additional trip for the municipal areas on Mondays or Tuesdays. However, additional costs will be incurred. Change recycling to occur once every other week. Have residential waste collection occur only 1 day per week. Reassess the yard waste and recycling collection schedules in November of 2017. The goal of the Sanitation Division is become more efficient in waste collection by minimizing the number of trucks that pass each residential home throughout the week. Keep solid waste from accumulating, maximize recycling, and keep beaches free of solid waste.
Any questions for Mike?
Thank you, Mike.
Yeah, I do, Mike. So if you look at that slide on your existing fleet, you said that you have 2 new side loaders that are coming in.
Yes.
So what was the key driver to making changes in the collection schedule? And what did we save by doing that? Because there was a lot of dialogue in the communications passed out through the neighborhood about carbon fiber print and eliminating, as you mentioned, homes passed. What was the key driver?
Okay, so we've made 2 changes. One with the recycling, and the recycling change was we had a new contract, and we added on 51 municipal sites. The yard waste was a function of minimizing the mixing of the waste, and also it allowed us to not go down that street with a yard waste truck one time. So what we did was we just combined it like the other two communities, Gulfport and also Madeira Beach. They collect it 1 day a week on Wednesdays. So the carbon footprint that we're talking about is the minimizing the amount of trucks that are passing on the road. And so that's why we just went to 1 day a week. We still collect. Remember, the increase in there's not an increase in yard waste. We're just gonna do it all at one time. Therefore, the trucks don't have any commercial waste in them. All they have is yard waste because they're empty on Wednesday morning, and we go out and we do the whole thing. Also, by increasing the yard waste collection to 2 hoppers, we can start using that claw truck more often. That claw truck utilizes 1 guy to operate it, 1 guy spotter, because we're backing up. Once we get the 360, we'll take that 1 spotter out.
So you're running 2 people in the claw truck right now?
Correct.
And it's completely utilized, right?
It's utilized 1 day a week for sanitation. It is utilized on other days for the municipal services when they do municipal facilities, when they do the yard waste or the trimmings and the cutting of the brush and other things. So it is, when you say completely utilized, not 40 hours a week. We're using it probably 8 hours on Wednesday, and then we're probably using it 4 hours on 2 other days. So it's about 16 hours of time. But it's also available if we do need to do bulk pickups. And
And we charge for that, right?
yes, we do.
And, because there was quite a stockpile of rubbish behind what I would consider to be the custodial location back on the golf course. There was just piles and piles of tree trimmings back there
Where was this?
on the golf course.
Oh, on the golf course, okay.
Yeah. And, pardon me? Okay.
So the contractor failed to pick it up? Oh, but
Right. Who's going to run the new piece of equipment that we've approved tonight on the beach?
We have right now 2 drivers that can drive that. They're Aaron and Todd.
But it looked like we had a shortage of personnel.
We do.
Okay.
It's getting picked up right now. We're just gonna have 1 person going out there driving this piece of equipment.
Who's picking it up right now?
Well, we have an assorted amount of people that are doing it. Sometimes we have to use water pollution control people because we don't have the other people. We have our sanitation crew chief that will get, our supervisor that will get out there and pick it up.
Mhm.
And usually what we do is we get done with our commercial route, and then we have whoever can drive the truck. We'll go out there with a helper and run up and down the beach.
but the new piece of equipment will require 1 employee to run it up
That
and
is
down the
correct.
beach? Okay,
Thanks, Mike.
is that correct?
Thank you.
All right, so,
Thanks, Mike.
thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay, another presentation, City Communications. Mr. Santos. Is this the start of your 16th year?
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. My 16th year started on January 2nd of this year, so getting pretty
Congratulations.
close to that halfway mark in that 16th year. First of all, good evening. This is going to just be a real short presentation on Treasure Island City's communications. We're coming up that magic month of June, so typically beforehand, we like to get ready for all the different ways we can get information out to the public. But also, we're constantly changing, adding, and upgrading different sources and different ways to get information. So we thought that a nice little quick presentation of everything that we have would be beneficial. I started by creating a huge PowerPoint with all kinds of great graphics, and boiled it all down to one sheet, because that's really what you want at the end of the day, is just a quick reference. And I just like to go over this real quick with you. Please ask questions or stop me, and afterwards, I can always bring more information back to you. So right off the bat, our website is the first place that you want to go for any information. That is the repository for all things that we have. It's not the best website. It's hard to navigate sometimes. You have to learn the nuances and find it. We hope to, in the near future, if things go right, to change that and make it a better website again. But my impetus here is to say that if there's information the city has, somehow, some way it can be found on that website. It's the first place we put the information, and from there we disseminate out from there. The second thing that we have is TITV 644, and we're going out live tonight. Again, we do our live meetings of all the commission meetings, workshops, and other boards. We do the replays on there, plus there's a lot of other information on a daily basis. We do PSAs or public safety announcement type films, so on and so forth. Again, another source for information. Next thing on the list is Code Red. Code Red is it's our emergency notification system, and it's something that you sign up for, and we've all had those. It's how we get important information out to the public via telephone, text, it can be landline, it could be cell phone, it could be a text message or an email. There are some nuances to it that are important to note. In a true emergency, the system uses the 911 database, which means we can send an emergency email or message to anybody that has a phone associated with 911. But it has to be a true emergency. All other notifications only go out to those who have signed up for it. So it's something that you must do. You have to go up to our website. There's instructions out there to sign up if you want that notification. We do use that a lot too for public works. When we have things that are important to know, road closures, or there's, in this case, when we change some of the trash pickup, we use that as a resource to continually push that information out to people so they can get that. Again, to sign up for that, the easiest way is to go to our website and look up Code Red and find the link to go sign up. Next thing I have on the list is SeeClickFix. SeeClickFix is one of our two, what we call our citizen engagement tools. SeeClickFix is an application that allows somebody to report an issue or a problem. It's great because if the person chooses, and I highly recommend that they sign up with the login, they'll actually get notified when anything is done to that issue. They'll get notified that we saw the issue and read it, that we sent it out for work, that work's being done, and when it's completed. Or in those cases where it's something that can't be done right away for a legitimate reason, you'll find out why. We'll tell you why, and then you can still track that over a period of time. So it's just not laying there. The other side of this for you as a commission is that we can report back to you the problems in your district at any given time that have been reported. The more the tool is used, the more information that you have, and it's a good way for you to keep up on what's going on in the city. Internally, we can also use it to report problems to ourselves. If one of the staff is driving down the street and sees a sprinkler head that's operating the wrong time in the wrong direction, we can take a picture of that, submit to staff, and we can use that as part of our work order system. So it's both an internal, external thing. Also within that system is we're tied into the county because some resources are provided by the county. Animal Services is one of them. So if you go onto our SeeClickFix with an animal-related problem, it automatically gets directed to the county, bypassing us completely so that the issue goes to where it's supposed to go. To sign up for SeeClickFix, the easiest way, again, to do that is go to our website, and there, right on the front page is a link to sign up for that. Or there's apps too. You can get an app for both any iOS app, phone or iPad, or Android. It is really a mobile application. That's where it works its best. It ties in with a photograph, with a map, and the issues. On the internet side, it's nice to use to read, but you need a mobile app to really use it in the field properly. The next citizen engagement tool we have is MinuteTrack. Now, MinuteTrack has a couple different faces. Internally, we use it for the creation of our agendas and our minutes. and how we track that. And it's what produces our final product for our agenda packet, which you can get online. Also, though, you can actually go to the Minitrack application, and the citizens can too. The easiest way there is go to our home page. At the bottom of the home page, there says more links, and a big M shows up. You click on that, and it gets to all the minutes. There's search features. There's a lot of tools that can be used to help people go through to find things in the previous minutes or the current minutes or the agenda. There are some great new features that they recently added where you can actually have tools to use markup. You can actually mark right up on that agenda, and it saves it to your user ID, and the public can do this also. They also have a mobile app for iPads only that has a lot of those tools built into it. And again, it's to work directly with the minutes, the agendas, the whole packet. Next item in the list is a brand new item. Matter of fact, it is so new that my first iteration tonight to you said it was going to be deployed in the next 30 days. I had to change that tonight to say it's been deployed. Recollect is a city's new waste management notification system. I am real new with this. We're actually setting this up right now with the help of Public Works, but it's a way to go out and actually view your trash pickup schedule. You can view the schedule, you can print the schedule, you can get the app and look at the app on a mobile device. You can sign up for email notifications that say, I want to know the night before I'm supposed to put my trash out, and you'll get a reminder to put your trash out. Another feature on there, it's a, what do they call it? It's called the Waste Wizard, and it's a little app that tells you what to do with what kind of waste you have. You put it in there, it tells you if it's a recyclable or where to take it, if it's a hazardous material, where to take it, it has a schedule. And we're tied in with the county also, so if it's a county service, it tells you what that county service is and where to go get it. A brand new application. If you go to our website, under residents, our trash collection, there's a big link right there. We're going to try and push more information out the next couple weeks, and it's going to be on all of our brochures that are going out for all the waste brochures that you're currently created. I'm looking at Stacy because she's my point person on this. Next, we're going to go into social media. Social media is a really big source for a lot of people. You either use it or you don't. You have a favorite or you don't. It depends, all kinds of things. So our philosophy was to push it out to as many different social media places as possible to give the people the choice of how they want to get that. The big one for us is Facebook, and currently we have a Facebook page for the city, the fire, the police, and recreation. They're all tied together, but they're also separate enough that you can get to that kind of information that you're specifically looking for. Along with that is Twitter, and again, that's 140 character message that you can put links in, so on and so forth. Put out those little messages to drive people back to another source, whether it be Facebook or our website, but it's just another media to get things out there. We have a YouTube channel now. We're trying to put all of our commission meetings out there, all the PSAs that we're creating in-house, and so on and so forth. So YouTube is our video online presence. Instagram is similar. It has video, but mostly for photos. We're not actively putting photos out there, but what we're doing is any photo that we release into one of the other medias, we're trying to have automatically placed there. So if somebody's Instagram user, they automatically get it. They don't have to go someplace else to get it. Down, I'm going to skip all the way down the bottom because it says available soon. Vimeo and Pinterest, we have accounts. We're currently setting those up. And again, we're not going to use those differently. We're just going to try and push the same information out to them. And the other one there is called Swarm. That's real new. It's sort of like a Yelp application where you show up someplace, you say, I'm here, and you get some kind of credit. But we're going that direction to help stimulate the other social media sites because they're all sort of tied in together. At the bottom, I gave you all the electronic ways we're doing things, but we still do some things the old, I don't want to say the old-fashioned way, that's not true. Non-electronic ways. We have our new message sign at City Hall that has a lot of information. We have bulletin board walls that have everything that we do. We have one Right outside of Recreation, and over at Treasure Bay, we have the same thing with all that information. And the wall in front of HR has all HR-related type functions. If you go out into all the districts, we have the standard bulletin boards where we post all the notices. And we have those on Isle Capri, Isle of Palms, Sunset, and Paradise. Available soon, I went through all those. The last picture is a picture of the clock tower. We're upgrading the system, as you know, hopefully scheduled for the beginning of June. One of the features of the new system, it gives us what they call a civil defense package. Hopefully we'll never have to use it, but in the case of one of those civil defense emergencies, it has the electronic sirens, and we could actually use it as a PA system to push out information. We didn't actually go out and get that for that reason. It comes with the system, so it is part of our overall communications package. So that's the quick and dirty of this. I tried to get it down to one page, one source, so you had it all in front of you. Questions, please?
That's a lot to digest.
Well, it is, but that's why I tried to get it on one page. And already, I can think of things to add. One important thing, on some of these things, like the C-Click fix and that, is that these applications are really monitored during normal city business. So after hours, realize that you may not get an instant response. If it's an emergency, in all cases, it's 911. Call 911 first. We do tend to get police-related calls through some of these other sources, including email, that will never end up to the right place to get it dispatched. So if you have an emergency, call 911. And the last thing I'll add to this is we are just currently implementing our newsletter again, ETI, was something in the past. Public Works is already starting to use it. In this next week, I'll publish how to get on the mailing list and how that'll be coming out. Just know that we are reactivating the city electronic newsletter, ETI, electronic TI. And if you keep me up here, I'll keep going. Any other questions?
Well done, Mike.
Suggestions or comments or anything any direction you would like us to go in or look into? You're always welcome to take that feedback.
We're gonna have to try these, and
I'm not
Excuse
sure
me?
I could add anything else.
say, we'll have to try all these.
Well, for us that have children and grandchildren, you want to talk to them. They are a great help in making all these things work. I know.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Mark.
Thanks, Mark. Okay, our third item tonight is consideration of ordinance 1707. Who is taking this one? Jennifer?
I'll do this one. Okay, so during the budget process in July of 2016, the City Commission was informed that the city was interested in having MuniCode go through the code and basically just ensure that the city's code was in compliance with statutes, that there wasn't any kind of obsolete provisions, there wasn't any conflict with its charter, those kind of issues. And MuniCode, the city went ahead and had MuniCode provide that service, and they've completed their review, and this is just one chapter where they identified certain sections that were either already provided for in the charter, so it was just a duplicate provision, or already provided for in the statute. So again, it was a duplicate of the statute. The reason for not having this duplication is that, you know, a charter change, of course, requires a referendum. The statutes are changed by the legislature. You could very easily have a provision of your code that might end up in conflict with one of those. And you really, you want to avoid that, of course. It also makes it simpler for your citizens that they're not looking in two different areas for the same information. If it's in the charter, it's in the charter, and it doesn't need to go beyond that. So basically, there are 6 things, 6 different sections, and we identified where they were either already provided for in the charter, they were obsolete or provided by statute. Substantively, it doesn't change the process for any of the elections. This is merely a house cleaning issue. And we'll be bringing you other sections of your code as we work through them. So, if you have any questions on the changes,
Nope.
okay.
Move forward.
As you say, yeah, I think it's basically housekeeping.
That's it.
Deb, do you have any?
No,
you good?
I
Everybody-
understand it's housekeeping and
Moving forward? Everybody's okay?
Yep, yes, yep.
please.
Okay, thank you, Jennifer.
You have.
Okay, let's go into old business, commission.
I don't have anything.
I have
Yeah.
some new stuff.
Not necessarily old business, but I've had a few complaints about, sorry, I pulled it away because I was coughing. I've had a couple complaints or comments about issues with yard waste, and perhaps that we can use some of our new social media tools to enforce the days of collection. Just a suggestion, to bring it out a little easier for people to follow or reinforce their knowledge.
Makes sense.
Okay. Ken?
I've got some new business, some
okay.
things I'd like to talk about. but
Okay.
Whenever there's time.
We'll just do that in city commission reports? You want to
Yep,
do that?
that'd be
Okay.
fine.
Okay, let's go to city attorney, city manager.
Okay, so I have a couple of items tonight, mainly because the legislature concluded. I wanted to go through some topics that we previously talked about and give you an idea of whether or not those actually made it through, or whether or not those have failed. So a couple of items, and many of them you may have heard about, but some you may not have. The vacation rental item, that was something that the city was really tracking. That failed, so that new law did not get passed. The House Bill 17, which was the business regulation, it was really what was called the super preemption, dealing with kind of the Florida League of Cities looked at it as an attack on home rule, and that did not pass. There was also, the legislature was to come up with regulations regarding Amendment 2 and medical marijuana, and they didn't take action with regard to that. And then the last kind of fail before I get to the passes is, had to do with plastic bags. Currently, in the Florida statutes, there is a preemption against local governments regulating or banning the use of disposable plastic bags. And there was a law put forth that would allow that, but that law did not make it through the legislature. I will tell you that current preemption has been, that provision of the law has been declared unconstitutional by a lower court, by a circuit court. It's being appealed right now through to the district court, and ultimately may end up in the Supreme Court. So it's something we're watching, and I'll let you know how that turns out. Things that did pass. There was a wireless technology bill that passed, which basically limits local governments from regulating certain types of equipment, small wireless facilities. There was a bill that passed regarding public records that now recognizes that in frivolous cases, the courts are not mandated to award attorney's fees, and in fact, they can award attorney's fees against the complainant who brings a frivolous action. There were a lot of legislative changes to multiple laws dealing with the opiate epidemic. The FRS rates were, new rates were put out and established for the Florida retirement system, and those increased. There's also a new pollution notice regulation that was passed during this session. There are new exemptions to the Public Records Act. There was a homestead exemption that passed that will actually go to referendum. And there were other exemptions, tax exemptions as well, that were passed. So that may impact municipal revenues. There was the ride-sharing law that was signed into law. Again, it's basically a preemption that makes it so local governments can't regulate ride-sharing companies such as Uber and Lyft. There was also a preemption put in place that makes it so local governments cannot pass regulations relating to the operation of drones. And if they have regulations on the books regarding the operation of drones, the legislature says you can't enforce them. So my takeaway from this, in a brief overview, is that while some of the big super preemption laws did not pass, what you do see is you see more and more specific industries getting preemptions against local regulation. So it's something to kind of keep in mind going forward.
But we're still okay with enforcing our own rental ordinances?
Correct.
So that at least maybe our beach won't turn into a circus.
For now at least.
That's right.
And I'll provide, just so you know, I provide a more detailed summary to your staff on these issues, but I wanted to give you an overview.
Thank you. Amy?
I just have one thing, and that is I just want to make sure that we're all aware that the palm trees on the west side of the Basco Bridge, as we're entering into the city, on the north side will have to be removed because they're interfering with the electrical line, and we'll look to replace those trees with something very shorter. And we have a few options. One's a flowering small tree, and then a pygmy date palm, and find something that looks, at least
Foxtail.
provides some barrier there.
No foxtails?
So-
You don't like them?
So they will be taken down pretty soon, within probably the next week. But it's just so noticeable. I just want to make sure that that is very clear. So that's the only thing I have.
Thank you. Commission reports? Deb?
No.
Ralph?
I'd like to talk
Okay,
about
your
some
shot.
things I'd like to see on the next workshop or an upcoming workshop. Is that okay to speak about them now? Is that all right, Mayor?
Sure.
Okay. Seems like we're getting more and more private metered parking lots. We've got one coming in across from the 7-Eleven at Sunset. We have private metering going on at the Sea Dogs parking lot across the road from the old Cosmacos that's being converted. And we have a couple right here over behind downtown on the south side of downtown. There's one or more there, or it might be one lot with the same one. And I feel like quite a few of the residents in District 4, especially those that are at Sunset Beach and further south, I've had multiple calls about them not wanting that parking lot, but they got it anyway. As you know, we went through this last summer at the budget meetings when we had a special meeting and we examined trying to get that lot. I'd like to point out at the time that I was for the lot, but I voted against it because I had had a groundswell of people calling and sending me emails. On the other hand, I mentioned at the time that anybody could put a parking lot there, and that is sadly what has happened for some of my constituents. So I was thinking that this is going to create an impact on the city and on the residents of our city, and I'd like to examine having impact fees for private metered parking lots in the city. We take care of our own and we manage our own when we put our own parking meters in, but I just wonder how it's going to affect our residents when we have private lots, some of them which will be adjacent to our beaches and so forth. So some of these impacts that I've heard from some of the residents on West Gulf Boulevard, especially in some of the homes that are along the beach, is that they wind up with garbage in their front yards, and they wind up with people doing things they should do in a bathroom on the backside around the sand dunes on the way as they walk past Sunset Vista Park and down towards the bars. And that has been an ongoing problem in our beach. It hasn't been as bad in the last year and a half or so since we put the alcohol ban signs up, but some of our residents are anticipating that. Our acting city manager has done a great job in sending out emails, and we're going to meet with some people soon, and I appreciate that. And by the way, I also appreciate the updates that we get from you that we didn't get before, and thank you. Okay, second thing, I would like to see us create a grant committee or a grant board or something that we could have citizens sign up for. It was mentioned in the meeting at Treasure Bay. I think it's a great idea. There's people that want to volunteer. We had people stick up their hand, a couple of them that are grant writers that wanted to help. I think we should empower those people to help write grants for the city. Secondly, then third, because we have maybe under awareness for Treasure Bay, could it be possible to ask the recreation director to possibly have an employee maybe once every couple of months distribute some brochures to the local hotels, so that at least if the desk clerks won't inform them, maybe the brochure will. Okay. I had one person come to me and suggest that when we have vendors, pool, lawn, tree cutting, and so forth, that they have to have a $5 a year tag that goes on the bumper of their car. And those people that are required to remove the yard waste, at least we would have an idea of knowing that they were registered to do those types of things in the city. Because even on the street where I live, I see the yard cutting people stacking up what they're supposed to take away. So I'd like to find a method of ensuring that these people take away the yard waste that they're supposed to take away, which would help with disposal. Okay, I wanted to talk about a plastic bag ban, because they're getting in they go right into our sewers and right into the Gulf and right into basically turning our Gulf into garbage. And like to see, because it's an enterprise fund and we have quite a bit in that code enforcement and building and coding, I'd like to see another employee to monitor code compliance. If we have the money there, I don't know can you give me an idea, Amy, of what the total is in that enterprise fund?
Code enforcement is not part of that reserve. It's only to implement and enforce our building code, but code enforcement's outside of that.
So it would be a direct expense
General fund
against the general
expenditure.
fund. All right, so I think that our code enforcement department tries to do a great job, but I think it's overwhelming. Do you have an opinion on that?
Well, we can discuss that service level at the budget workshops. I mean, that's
Could we?
the time to talk about if you want to increase or decrease any service level. That would be an additional code enforcement officer. We can try to prepare, what our
Maybe-
staff response is. I don't know anything off the top of my head, but I think the budget workshop would be the appropriate time to address that.
Okay, would it be okay if you spoke to the code enforcement department to see if they could use another person and thinks that person could pay for themselves based on enforcement? I wouldn't want to spend a bunch of money that we couldn't get back.
Well,
But on the other hand, we are going to be able to enforce the rental restrictions according to the city attorney, and I'd like to see those enforced a little more carefully, shall we say?
And that is a discussion that we can have. It is a difficult thing to enforce the way that we have our code written. We don't get a lot of code enforcement revenue, the liens, not the liens, but the fines that we enforce. So it doesn't cover, the revenue today doesn't cover our one officer that we have, just for
Okay.
clarification.
Do you think that might stem from the fact that we almost never fine anybody on the first warning? We almost never fine anybody on the first warning at code enforcement. Are you aware of that? You might be.
It's probably a
Almost
combination
never.
of a few things, but that can definitely be something to discuss.
Okay. All right.
Just real quick on the yard waste, our ordinance that we want to revise in sanitation, that's one of the things that we would be considering is mandating landscapers and yard maintenance businesses to be required to take away the waste, because it isn't a requirement today.
It is not, okay. Well,
But that would be one of the things that we'd be looking
Should-
to do. with
should be, and an
commissioner's
easy way to do it would force them to have a sticker on their vehicle so that they wouldn't have to come and ask. If they just pass by, they would know. So make them pay a fee to have a sticker on there so that we can tell who's supposed to be in the city and who's supposed to be removing their yard waste. Just a thought.
Okay. Well, we are gonna be bringing forward the sanitation ordinance, so there's a lot of things to be discussed, through the ordinance process. But that is one particular point that will be discussed.
Thank you. That's all I have.
I just had a question on that. So if I have a yard waste company come into my yard and cut down some palm fronds, they should haul it away?
Yeah, that's the general
Isn't that,
rule.
so, okay, suppose if I cut them down, then the city hauls them away? Same palm fronds?
I don't know, but I'm
That's-
just,
that's-
I'm
that's
just
my
saying.
question here.
Well,
Kinda
I'm
what-
just, I'm
yeah.
just telling you, contractors that come and clean up the property should take the waste with them. They-
You know-
They're getting paid to do your yard. Why not have them take the waste away?
Well, I'm not opposed to that. I'm just saying though, suppose I go and do it in my own yard and I put it out in the street on the curb, as opposed to a contractor does the same thing I just did, and he puts it out there, but he's gotta take it away? I don't know. We
That's
can
just
talk
my
about that.
thought. We can
It
talk,
just-
we could probably debate this
It
quite a
just didn't
bit.
make sense, I'm sorry.
Maybe we should,
No, this doesn't, I
no?
didn't mean to.
Okay.
I
We,
didn't
we,
mean to
we
turn
we
this-
could have a discussion if you want.
My apology. We can do that at a workshop.
I just think they ought to take it. If they're there getting paid to do it, they ought to take it.
Let's do it at a workshop.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I
It's
shouldn't
okay,
have
Bob.
started that
That's
debate.
okay, Bob, no big deal. All right, I'm done.
Okay, so
Sorry.
I have nothing more. Public comment? No public comment? This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.